20-year-old Jim, you're so innocent. These are a few things that I wish I could go back and tell ourselves in our 20s. But really, things we would tell our kids when they get to their 20s. Because these are things that we did do that made a big difference for each of our families and kind of where we are today.
Yep, absolutely. So the number one, I think, lesson for me, the one I always tell people when they ask me, like, if you're 20, 21, what do you do to become a millionaire? And I say start investing as early as possible. You need to live in such a way that you have some margin, right? And you need to take that margin and you need to be smart with it. And being smart with it means investing. I would only invest in things that you understand. If you don't understand, then go invest in an index fund. It's just the safest way to be able to turn that little bit of margin today into a multi-million-dollar nest egg when it's time for you to retire.
Investing early is really important, but you have to have that prerequisite. You have to have no debt so that you have a space between what comes in each month and what goes out the door. If you don't have that, you can't invest early.
Yeah.
So that's like the number one thing is think of your money like margin. That's why we named the channel that. Is because like that is what it's all about. Like, is debt the enemy? Yes, but it's not the ultimate enemy. The ultimate enemy is where you just have the amount that goes in and the amount that goes out is so paper thin or backwards that you can never, ever get ahead. It's about having margin in your life. So that's a big one. The one that I would say is start a business. If you're going to become a millionaire early in your life, it's probably the only way. Unless you can somehow finance a free and really, really, really fast degree, medical degree.
Yeah.
But that's unlikely.
If you graduated college at 16, you got a shot at becoming a young millionaire.
And somebody gave you a full ride to medical school, right?
Which is possible if you did it at 16.
Yes. So starting a business, if you're going to make it early, is probably how it's going to happen. Now, you could also just have a really solid job that pays you well and gives you some margin in life, and you have a side hustle that also brings in money each month. So there are a lot of ways to do this, but the young people I know who are doing really well, all of them, they're entrepreneurs. They're people who started a business.
Even if it's on the side. I like that. And I do think that that's key. Everybody should become a millionaire someday. Everybody in the United States, especially, the way our economy works today, you should become a millionaire by the time you retire. And most people can just do that over the course of their lives through basic investing in retirement accounts and that kind of stuff, right? But if you want to do it in a time in your life when you can enjoy more of that money, then starting a business. The next one, Jim hit on the debt thing, but frugality, right? Margin requires you to live on less than you earn.
Sacrifice.
Yes.
If you don't feel like you're ever sacrificing financially, like I want something, I can buy it, and I'm not going to anyway. That doesn't happen.
Yeah, I'm going to get just a little bit philosophical here. The word sacrifice is a two-part word. It's made up of two words, sacra
it's going to be good.
and fice. Fice, right?
Feces.
No, not feces. Fice, right? F-I-C-E, right? To make, that's what fice means, not feces. That's funny. Means to make. And sacra is sacred. It means holy. When we sacrifice something, we take something and we make it holy. It doesn't mean give it up and to the ether, right? And so when we talk about sacrificing things we want in our life, it's taking those things and turning them into something greater, something better. When we sacrifice things in our lives today that allow us to be able to have a secure and prosperous financial future, we're taking those things and we're making them into something better.
And it's a skill you have to have if you're going to be wealthy.
That doesn't necessarily mean rice and beans and rice, right?
Right, not forever.
Not for
and you
everyone,
get to enjoy lots of things. My family, we get to do a lot of really cool things.
Absolutely.
But we had enough money. We had been saving up, and we'd been talking about it for years to buy a big chunk of 100 acres of Idaho. We have enough money to do it. And we'd been talking about it and saving for it, right? And my wife and I had decided last week, no, it's just not the right time. We need to sock more away into savings first. And there's no reason financially that we cannot do that. I could pay cash for it, but it's still a sacrifice that we're choosing to make to be that much better later on, to be that much more secure now, etc. And so if you don't grow that sacrifice muscle, it's never going to happen.
I remember about 6 years ago coming home for Christmas or something and seeing family members and friends who I knew were struggling financially, but every one of them was using a smartphone, right? We're talking about phones that cost them $500 and paying for plans that are over $100 a month for them and their spouse, right? At the time, I had an awesome job making twice what any of them were making. And I had a flip phone that the company gave me to use. It was free, right? My wife had a slider phone, right? That she could text on and call, and she didn't want a smartphone. And we were paying like $20-25 a month for her plan. That is the way we lived our lives. We've never owned a fancy car. We've never bought a used car. And I'm a multimillionaire.
A new car.
We've never bought a new car. We've only ever bought used. The newest car we ever bought was 3 years old, and that was like a week ago.
And to be clear, this guy could walk to a car lot and say, I want that row.
Yeah. It's
you
like,
could.
Pick any car that you don't have to like order and ship around the world, and I could just pay cash for it.
Yeah, so it's like, it's not that you aren't enjoying the money. You are. Yeah. You're doing things you want to.
Absolutely.
And you could even do more if you want. But eventually you kind of grow that like, the measure of wealth is protection for my family and margin and no worries. Well, and it's just not...
Once you reach a point...
You don't want to waste money. It doesn't feel good to waste money.
Yeah, if you're a millionaire, you've probably reached the point where you feel financially secure enough that you can also be emotionally secure about your money. And then it's not about flashy status symbols anymore, right? That's not what I care about. If you see me driving down the road, you'll see me driving a 2003 Chevy Suburban with a dent in the door. It came that way. I bought it with a dent in the door. It cost me $4,500 for this Suburban. It's ridiculous that I only paid that much, but it was a steal. And a lot of millionaires, people especially that become millionaires young, have that mentality of like, it's about the utility. That Suburban takes me anywhere I want to go. It runs amazing, and I could probably put another 200,000 miles on it. I'll probably buy a cool truck before then, but who knows?
Cybertruck. My family, we didn't own a second car until we were already millionaires. My wife drove me to my office every day where I owned the business that was doing really well. She drove me every day because I didn't want to buy a second car. And so there's something to be said for, when you have money, some people just kind of become weird about it and never enjoy it and spend it. That's not the case. I do a ton of stuff to enjoy it. It's fun.
Yeah.
But if you get successful, you didn't get there by wasting money. Nope. You don't feel good about that. And so you're probably going to keep that. All right. Next one is timing. You have to recognize that the markets have seasons. They just do. And there's a time to buy, and there's a time to not buy.
Yep.
We bought our first house in 2010.
Oh, it's so awesome.
For cash for $84,000. It was such a good time that we sacrificed everything else. We were like, don't buy anything. We are eating Rice Krispies for the next 6 months, right? And we saved up as much as we could because it was so obviously an amazing time to buy a house right then. If my son were getting out of college today, he's not, by the way, he's 11, I would say, you know what? Don't buy a house, even if you have the money.
Yeah.
It's just not a good time right now. So recognize that the markets have timing and you have your timing.
Yes.
And you need to make sure you're buying in your season. Just because you just got out of dental school and you have a nice big income for the first time and you really, really, really want a house, it's not your season. You got to pay off dental school first. Yeah. So recognize the market seasons and your own and be okay with that.
And there can be a lot of pressure if you are in one of those professional fields, you're a new doctor, you're a new dentist, there can be a lot of pressure to drive a nice car and live in a nice big house. That kind of pressure is why most of your coworkers are actually broke. If there's all these studies out there that talk about people that graduate medical school and then they have to live the doctor lifestyle.
Yep.
And I have friends that are medical doctors who say the pressure is real. You try to live frugally as a new doctor and everybody around you thinks you're nuts. But in the end, they're still living paycheck to paycheck. They just have a bigger one.
Just a big one.
It
goes in fast and it goes out fast.
It's all about the margin, folks. The last one is about learning. This is probably the most important financial decision you and I have made. And that is to become an avid, voracious learner.
Just go be wicked smart.
Yep.
Like really. Like, yeah, it might be a college degree, maybe.
But
it may not be at all.
There's so much to learn that's free or extremely inexpensive.
Go read the statistics of how many books millionaires read compared to the average population.
And then
it'll change your mind.
And then go tell me they just got lucky, right?
Right.
Yeah, they all got lucky and it was inherited, but they also read 10 times as much.
I read 60 books a year.
Yeah.
Plus, I keep up with multiple podcasts that I listen to all the time. So while somebody else is listening to music in the car, I almost never listen to music in the car. Not that there's anything wrong with it. Sometimes it relaxes you, whatever, music, it's great. But you know what? I'm willing to sacrifice some of that time if I'm running, if I'm walking around Walmart, if I'm working in the house. Always, always, always learning. You should be scary smart if you want to do really well financially. And the reason is that, it's going to help you with your personal decisions. Yep. It's going to help you as a business owner, starting your own business. It's going to help you as an employee. You're just always going to be a step ahead of everybody else.
If you want to succeed, if you want to become a millionaire at a reasonably young age, but you're not running your own business, it's going to require being in management. And if you want to be an effective manager, I've worked in a couple big companies. Most managers are not very effective managers. You want to be an effective manager that gets promoted up the ladder real quick without playing a bunch of politics? You need to be an avid learner.
You got to be that hotshot.
You got to be the person reading everything there is to read, listening to the podcasts, learning everything that you can learn. Plus, I find that when I'm exercising, listening to a book distracts me mentally a lot more than music does, which makes the exercise a lot less painful.
Yeah, and go learning hard things too.
Yeah.
In our business, we're doing blogs and YouTube channels and things like that, which you can find out more about on our other channel, Income School, where we teach people how to do that. But there are a lot of people who just avoid the difficult things. You start a YouTube channel, but you never learn Photoshop because it's hard. And so be the person who sacrifices. And on Saturday morning, you're taking some online course learning Photoshop. Yep. And you're never the person who, learned video editing or never really got their skills up, or you just don't have very unique information to share because you're not filling your mind constantly with new ideas. So go be a wicked, smart, scary learner. Those are the 5 financial decisions we'd make in our 20s. Now click on this subscribe and it will be the 6th essential decision in your 20s. That was a little sad. It was a little sad. Bye, guys.